You have 24 hours to tear down this eyesore, or we're calling the sheriff." That was the greeting I got from Victoria Ashworth, the self-proclaimed queen bee of the Pine Valley HOA. I was only 3 days into building my dream mountain cabin when she stormed onto my property with a clipboard and enough perfume to choke a bear. She claimed my construction violated community standards and threatened me with massive fines. Little did she know, I held a secret that would turn her threats into the most expensive mistake of her life. I didn't just own this lot, I held the keys to her entire kingdom. My name is Marcus Brennan. I am a recently divorced electrician who inherited 5 acres of Colorado mountain paradise from my eccentric Uncle Silas. After months of city, living, and courtroom battles, this land was my salvation. Silas was a hermit who lived in these mountains for 40 years, always muttering that the land had more secrets than trees. When he passed, I cashed out my 401k to build a modest log home, a place for my teenage daughter, Emma, to visit. But on day 3, Victoria showed up in her pristine white BMW. She told me the Pine Valley HOA governed everything here, and that my uncle had signed on to their covenants 6 months ago. She handed me a cease and desist order and a bill for $2,500 in penalties. "This isn't the type of neighborhood where people in your situation typically thrive," she said, looking at my calloused hands. She even implied my daughter would be embarrassed by the whole situation. Her words were like venom, but instead of getting angry, I got curious. I went straight to the county courthouse. Betty, a wonderfully helpful clerk, helped me dig through the records, and that's when we found something fishy. The HOA was officially formed 6 months ago, 2 months after Uncle Silas had already died. I'm an electrician, not a lawyer, but I know dead men can't sign contracts. It got worse. Every single HOA board member was either a relative of Victoria S. or worked for her husband's construction company. This wasn't a community, it was a racket. I knew I was out of my depth, so I hired a sharp real estate attorney named Sarah Kim. She confirmed what I suspected. The timing was legally impossible. The signature was a forgery. But when we sent Victoria a letter outlining our findings, she didn't back down. She escalated. She created a community safety Facebook group, posting my photo and calling me a dangerous predator to scare the neighbors. She was trying to turn everyone against me. Then, she made her first major blunder. She accidentally posted the HOA's financial records to the group. They had collected nearly $850,000 in special assessments from just 12 houses in less than a year. But there were no parks, no paved roads, no community amenities to show for it. The money was just gone. Victoria quickly deleted the post, but not before I got a screenshot. Then came the sabotage. I woke up around 3 in the morning to the sharp, sickening smell of diesel. Someone had smashed my stacks of lumber and poured fuel all over my generator. My truck tires were shredded with roofing nails scattered all over the ground. It was a clear, violent message: get out. Victoria thought she was winning, but my skills as an electrician were about to come in handy in a way she never expected. I spent the next day installing high-tech, motion-activated hidden cameras all around my property. They were small, wireless, and nearly impossible to spot. That very night, I got an alert on my phone. And there, clear as day on the video feed, was her son, Tommy, red-handed, trying to set fire to my building site. I called the sheriff immediately. While the deputies were dealing with Tommy, Sarah and I decided it was time to search my uncle's old workshop. Silas was a man of many secrets, and I had a gut feeling he'd left something behind for me. Tucked away under a loose floorboard, we found it, a military green lockbox. Inside was an incorporation certificate for Brennan Holdings LLC dated 1998, along with a thick stack of legal documents. This was the nuclear option. It turned out Uncle Silas hadn't just owned his 5 acres. Back in 2010, when the original developer of the entire subdivision went bankrupt, Silas had quietly bought up the underlying land debt for the whole area. The neighbors thought they owned their lots outright, but they were actually long-term tenants on land owned by Brennan Holdings. And the best part, Victoria Ashworth's own magnificent house sat squarely on my land, and according to the payment records, she was 3 months behind on her ground rent. The next night was the emergency HOA meeting Victoria had called. She stood at the podium in front of the whole neighborhood, showing a PowerPoint presentation she'd titled The Marcus Brennan Threat. She told everyone I owed the community $97,000 in fines and fees. She'd even invited news cameras to document her supposed bravery in standing up to me. I walked to the front of the room and waited for her to ask if anyone had concerns. "I do," I said, holding up the folder from the lockbox. "My name is Marcus Brennan, and I am the sole owner of Brennan Holdings LLC, which means I am the legal landlord of every single house in this room." The silence was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop. I calmly explained that for 27 years, their mortgage companies had been unknowingly forwarding ground rent payments to my uncle's company. I showed them the deeds. I showed them the records proving Victoria had been stealing the HOA fees for herself. Then I looked directly at her. "Victoria," I said, my voice steady, "you're 3 months behind on rent. You have 30 days to vacate the property." The room exploded. Victoria lunged for the papers, screaming, but the sheriff was already there, waiting in the back. She wasn't just losing her house, it was being investigated for wire fraud, forgery, and attempted arson. Thanks to the video of her son, I didn't evict the neighbors though. Most of them were good people who had been lied to and bullied, just like me. I cut their ground rent in half and helped them set up a real homeowners association, one that actually looked out for people and built a true community. Today, Victoria is serving 18 months in federal prison. My daughter Emma is heading to college on a scholarship, and our neighborhood nestled in these beautiful mountains is finally a real community. Uncle Silas was right. The land does have secrets. You just have to be the right person to uncover them. Thanks for listening.